Oh, hey, guys. Startled me there for a second. I'm just working, have you ever had one of those days that didn't go the way you wanted it to? You might call it a bad day. Well, what I find to be good for me when I've had a rough day is to take out my little writing book and my pen and just write about it. So even if you have a good day, it's nice to write about your day. It's good practice, and it's always fun to look back. Even on the not so good days like today, I can go back and see, oh, that wasn't the best, but I can see what was good in that day as well. So I recommend you get a little writing book, get a bunch of them, because if you use a page a day, this will last you might need 2 or 3 a year if you write a page a day. But as you know, you're here for one of our favorite things to do, which is read. And today we are reading The Twits. Of course, we're continuing the story. If you remember, last time they were upset they didn't get their bird pie. Let's get started. Muggle has an idea. As soon as Mr. and Mrs. Twit had disappeared down the road, the monkeys all flipped back onto their feet the right way up. "Quick, get the key!" Mugglewump called out to the roly-poly bird, who was still sitting on the roof of the house. "What key?" shouted the roly-poly bird. "The key to the door of our cage," cried Mugglewump. "It's hanging on a nail in the woodshed. That's where he always puts it." The roly-poly bird flew down and came back with the key in his beak. Mugglewump reached up his hand through the bars of the cage and took the key. He put it in the lock and turned it. The door opened. All 4 monkeys leapt out together. "We are free!" cried the little ones. "Where shall we go, Dad? Where shall we hide?" "Don't get excited," said Mugglewump. "Calm down, everybody. Before we escape from this beastly place, we have one very important thing to do." "What?" they asked him. "We're going to turn those terrible Twits upside down." "We're going to what?" they cried. "You must be joking, Dad." "I'm not joking," Mugglewump said. "We're going to turn both Mr. and Mrs. Twit upside down with their legs in the air." "Don't be ridiculous," the roly-poly bird said. "How can we possibly turn those maggoty old monsters upside down?" We can, cried Mugglewump. "We are going to make them stand on their heads for hours and hours, perhaps forever. Let them see what it feels like for a change." "How?" said the roly-poly bird. "Just let me tell you how." Mugglewump laid his head on this one side, and a tiny twinkling little smile touched the corners of his mouth. "Now and again," he said, "but not very often, I have a brilliant idea. This is one of them. Follow me, my friends, follow me." He scampered off towards the house, and the other 3 monkeys and the roly-poly bird went after him. "Buckets and paintbrushes!" cried Mugglewump. "That's what we want next. There are plenty in the work-shed. Hurry up, everyone. Get a bucket and a paintbrush." Inside Mr. Twit's workshop, there was an enormous barrel of hug-tight sticky glue, the stuff he used for catching birds. "Fill your buckets," Mugglewump ordered. We are going into the big house." Miss Twit had hidden the key to the front door under the mat, and Mugglewump had seen her doing it, so it was easy for them to get in. In they went, all 4 monkeys with their buckets of sticky glue. Then came the roly-poly bird flying in after them, with a bucket in his beak and a brush in his claw. The great glue painting begins. "This is the living room," announced Mugglewump. "The grand and glorious living room where those 2 fearful, frumptuous freaks eat bird pie every week for supper." "Please don't mention bird pie again," said the roly-poly bird. "It gives me the shudders." "We mustn't waste time," cried Mugglewump. Hurry up. Now, the first thing is this. I want everyone to paint sticky glue on the ceiling. Cover it all. Smear it in every corner. Over the ceiling," they cried. "Why the ceiling?" "Never mind why," shouted Mugglewump. "Just do as you're told and don't argue." "But how do we get up there?" they asked. "We can't reach." "Monkeys can reach anywhere," shouted Mugglewump. He was in a frenzy of excitement now, waving his paintbrush and his bucket and leaping all about and over the room. Come on! Jump on the table! Stand on the chairs. Hop on each other's shoulders. Roly-poly can do it flying. Don't just stand there gaping. We have to hurry. Don't you understand that? Those terrible Twits will be back any moment, and this time they'll have guns. Get on with it, for heaven's sakes. Get on with it. And so the great glue painting of the ceiling began. All the other birds who had been sitting on the roof flew in to help, carrying paintbrushes in their claws and beaks. There were buzzards, magpies, rooks, ravens, and many more. Everyone was splashing away like mad, and with so many helpers, the job was soon finished. The carpet goes on the ceiling. What now? They all said, looking at Mugglewump. Aha! Cried Mugglewump. Now for the fun. Now for the greatest upside-down trick of all time. Are you ready? We're ready, said the monkeys. We're ready, said the birds. Pull out the carpet, shouted Mugglewump. Pull this huge carpet out from under the furniture and stick it to the ceiling. On the ceiling? Cried one of the small monkeys. But that's impossible, Dad. I'll stick you to the ceiling if you don't shut up, snapped Mugglewump. He's dotty, they cried. He's bothering me. He's batty. He's naughty. He's screwy. He's wacky, cried the roly-poly bird. Poor old Muggles has gone off his wump at last. Oh, do stop shouting such rubbish and give me a hand, said Mugglewump, catching hold of one of the corners of the carpet. Pull, you nitwits, pull! The carpet was enormous. It covered the entire floor from wall to wall. It had a red and gold pattern on it. It's not easy to pull an enormous carpet off the floor when the room is full of tables and chairs. Pull! Yelled Mugglewump. Pull! 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 He was like a demon, hopping around the room and telling everyone what to do. But you wouldn't blame him. After months and months of standing on his head with his family, he couldn't wait for the time when the terrible Twits would be doing the same thing. At least, that's what he hoped. With all the monkeys and birds all pulling and puffing, the carpet was dragged off the floor and finally hoisted up onto the ceiling. And there it stuck. All at once, the whole ceiling of the living room was carpeted in red and gold. The furniture goes up. Now the table, the big table, shouted Mugglewump. Turn that table upside down and put a dollop of sticky glue on the bottom of each leg. Then she'll stick that to the ceiling as well. Hoisting the huge table upside down onto the ceiling was not an easy job, but they managed to in the end. Will it stay there? They cried. Is the glue strong enough to hold up? Oh, it's the strongest glue in the world, Mugglewump replied. It's the special bird-catching, bird-killing glue for smearing on trees. Please, said the roly-poly bird, I have asked you before not to mention that subject. How would you like it if it was monkey pie? They made every Wednesday, and all your friends had been boiled up, and I went on talking about it. Oh, I do beg your pardon, said Mugglewump. I'm so excited I hardly know what I'm saying. Now the chairs. Do the same with the chairs. All the chairs must be stuck upside down to the ceiling and in their right places. Oh, do hurry, everybody. Any moment now those filthy freaks are going to come rushing in with their guns. The monkeys, with the birds helping them, put glue on the bottom of each chair leg and hoisted them up to the ceiling. Now the smaller tables, shouted Mugglewump, and the big sofa, and the sideboard, and the lamps, and all the tiny little things, the ashtrays, the ornaments, and that beastly plastic gnome on the sideboard. Everything, absolutely everything, must be stuck to the ceiling. It was terribly hard work. It was especially difficult to stick everything on the ceiling in exactly its right place. But they got it done in the end. What now? Asked the roly-poly bird. He was out of breath and so tired he could hardly flap his wings. Now the pictures, cried Mugglewump. Turn all the pictures upside down, and will one of you birds please fly out onto the road and watch to see when those frumptious freaks are coming back? I'll go, said the roly-poly bird. I'll sit on the telephone wires and keep guard. It'll give me a rest. The ravens swoop in. They had only just finished the job when the roly-poly bird came swooping in, screaming, They're coming back! They're coming back! Quickly, the birds flew back onto the roof of the house. The monkeys rushed into their cage and stood upside down on the top of the other. A moment later, Mr. and Mrs. Twit came marching into the garden, each carrying a fearsome-looking gun. "I'm glad to see those monkeys are still upside down," said Mr. Twit. "They're too stupid to do anything else," said Miss Twit. "Hey, look at all those cheeky birds still up on the roof. Let's go inside and load our lovely new guns, and then it'll be bang, 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 and bird pie for supper." Just as Mr. and Mrs. Twit were about to enter the house, two black ravens swooped low over their heads. Each bird carried a paintbrush in its claw, and each paintbrush was smeared with sticky glue. As the ravens whizzed overhead, they brushed a streak of sticky glue to the tops of Mr. and Mrs. Twit's heads. They did it with the lightest touch, but even so, the Twits both felt it. "What was that?" cried Mrs. Twit. "Some beastly bird has dropped his dirty droppings on my head." "On mine too," shouted Mr. Twit. "I felt it. I felt it." "Don't touch it," cried Mrs. Twit. "You'll get it all over your hands. Come inside and we'll wash it off at the sink." "The filthy, dirty brutes," yelled Mr. Twit. "I'll bet they did that on purpose. Just wait till I've loaded my gun." Miss Twit got the key from under the doormat, where Mugglewump had carefully placed it, and into the house they went. And that, my friends, is the end of our chapters today. Now, as you know, we do this all the time. You answer each and every question with a complete sentence. You restate the question. You take the words that are already there in the question, and you use it as you answer the question. All right. Have a great rest of your day. Find yourself a little journal to write in, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day, guys. Now, where was I? Oh, yeah.